Yeah. Year 9, we're coming to the end of our work on 1984, and in time-honored fashion, we need to do an assessment. So you found the quotations over the last couple of days. First you found them, then you exploded them, and now we're going to turn those explosions into, the explosions is simply the analysis, into paragraphs. Won't take long. Solitary means lonely or isolated. So why do you think Big Brother forces the public to lead very solitary lives? Winston lives alone. He lives on the 7th floor, small flat, doesn't go out much. There isn't much more to do other than go to work and go home, probably eat a microwave meal. But why do you think Big Brother forces the public to lead solitary lives? Have you heard the phrase divide and rule or something? It's information and ideas can't pass easily between people, I'd say, if they're living alone. They're more easy to control. But you would have a different idea. Look forward to your thoughts. Interrogation. So yeah, this is a lesson to write out and send in to your teacher. Interrogation. What is interrogation? It's happening in room 101. It's the asking of questions. It's to ask questions of someone closely, aggressively. Rogare means asked or something, doesn't it? Ask. Ask between. Okay. To ask questions of someone aggressively or formally, or in Winston's case, under torture. You're going to know how to answer a GCSE style exam question. And by doing so, you'll analyze and evaluate Orwell's language. Okay, so first of all, you need to write this subheading, because that's the title of our essay. We've already started it, though. Remember, we wrote an overview, or I showed you how to write an overview in the first paragraph yesterday. So that needs to be written down. And where on earth do you go from here? Well, you found absolutely the first thing to do is to find quotations that cause fear and tension from chapter 5. That's the extract. We found the worst thing in the world, or I found the worst thing in the world. Then it's good if you track the thing chronologically, because it shows you've understood the structure, the form, and the way the writer draws your attention from one thing to the next, and why he reveals certain details until later. Then we talked about the rats, and then more about the rats' odor, and then we focus on how, despite that, after all that terrifying detail, we find Winston helpless. So we wrote the overview first, and if you haven't written an overview, now is the time to do it. So Orwell creates fear and tension by taking Winston through an attack on his senses that finds him. Don't really need the attack on his senses, but you do need a list of adjectives that you've picked up from that flow of text. Frightened, in danger, and feeling helpless. And something about Orwell's intentions needs to be mentioned a few times during the essay, 2 or 3 times perhaps, showing that you've understood the writer's life and times. He planned to dramatize the violent nature of totalitarian regimes and present his readers with a cautionary tale against fascism. I beefed up my overview slightly because I wanted to include cautionary tale. And fascism is the use of violent methods to create obedience. Orwell, did we do the first paragraph? Worst thing in the world. So firstly, Orwell creates, it would have been good to write firstly actually, or initially, Orwell creates fear and tension when Winston is about to experience the worst thing imaginable. The superlative, don't you love the word superlative? Shows it. Superlative is words like best, most, highest, best, or in this case, worst. It shows effectively how nothing could be more frightening. The word effectively is your evaluation, because it shows to what extent you like something. Yes, I think it's effective. How nothing could be more frightening, uncomfortable, and horrific than what Winston is going to face. I've done my thinking already. Frightening, horrific, and uncomfortable are all the words I've exploded, and you would have done the same for your own quotations. And so your task here is to write about the rest of it. You've 30 minutes to answer the question above. Write your overview, possibly done, and then at least 3 mini PE paragraphs. At least 3. You might have written 1 already. Let me show you what I did for my other 3. So what am I going to do next? So I've written about paragraph 1. So I turn to paragraph 2. O'Brien, said Winston, making an effort to control his voice. Orwell creates fear and tension. We need fear and tension in the paragraph because the question is about fear and tension. And you'll notice here in Miss C's instructions are that you have to hang on. You have to stay focused on the question, the first bullet point. So focus is fear and tension. So the more you mention fear, the less you have to fear, I suppose. Orwell creates fear and tension when Winston shouts, "O'Brien!" What's the terminology? The exclamatory phrase shows alarmingly, that's the effect on the reader, and it's the evaluation. I'm alarmed for Winston. It shows alarmingly how Winston is pleading in helpless fear, mention fear again, to the man who's in control of events. All of that analysis was done in the explosion, so it's a case of shuffling the words around me. So I've gone on to paragraph 3 and I've written some extra words to make it slightly more elegant. Orwell creates fear and tension when he focuses the reader's attention on detail about the rats. Focuses the reader's attention is a structural point because we're showing our examiner that we know why Orwell is focusing, or where Orwell is turning his spotlight, if you like, and the spotlight's on the rats. Saying they are carnivorous, the adjective shows gruesomely or effectively, successfully, that Winston must be afraid of being eaten alive. So that's the fear part. Why is O'Brien doing this? He's telling Winston this to make him feel more tense and more likely to confess. So a little understanding of why characters are acting as they do gives us a little opportunity to talk about context in terms of the context of the overall extract and the overall play. Next, my paragraph 4 is about the odor. I knew I'd done that typo. No, maybe I haven't. Orwell creates fear and tension when he shares Winston's sensation of the foul odor of the rats. So we're sharing Winston's point of view. The adjective shows successfully how uncomfortable Winston. Why did I highlight uncomfortable? Highlighted uncomfortable because it links to tension, I suppose, and fear. Shows how uncomfortable he feels in the presence of rodents. I didn't want to repeat rats. Don't repeat yourself. Don't repeat yourself. They are also described as brutes. Oh yeah, this is a way of putting 2 points into the same paragraph and getting more marks, receiving more marks, or achieving more marks. They're also described, so it reinforces the point. They are also described as brutes, which portrays them as fearsomely strong and uncontrollable, another link to fear. So that's quite a rich quotation, really. There are 3 words we could have, 3 or 4 words we could have conjured with. What's this? What's going on here? Oh yeah, so we didn't work on this, but I've written it out anyway to show you how I analyze a single word. Then Orwell creates fear and tension when he leaves Winston helpless. He leaves Winston helpless, and here is a structural point, following the focus on the phobia and the danger of the rats. The phobia of the rats? Maybe it should be phobia of and danger from the rats, actually. Sorry about that. The adjective shows successfully how something Winston is. So what does helpless mean? How, paraphrase, helpless shows successfully how powerless, possibly. I don't want to repeat less, I don't think. Vulnerable shows successfully how vulnerable Winston is. Orwell's intention. Now, remember I mentioned that you need to write about context, and remember Miss Chillingworth's instructions here. Refer to context, the third bullet point up, or the sixth bullet point down. Orwell's intention, this is the context, is to highlight the cruel, inhumane methods that totalitarian governments used to make their subjects obedient. Remember Stalin and the purges, Hitler and his Hitler Youth that created fear and tension among his own people, so that they wouldn't behave in an unorthodox or rebellious way. Over to you. How does Orwell create fear and tension? Spend 30 minutes answering. Look forward to reading your work. The more paragraphs you write, the better, although we're asking for at least 3. And is that all? That's all. Look forward to hearing from you.